Hi friends, this is Taylor Westbrook from By the Brook Ferments and By the Brook Tempeh, here to teach you guys how to make vegan stock out of tempeh. So first up, I have about 1 pound of tempeh that I smoked for about 20 minutes on the grill. They're pretty makeshift setup, so really however you guys are familiar with smoking tempeh will be the best approach for you. But I smoked it first and then I let it sear on the barbecue grill for about 5 minutes in total on either side, just to get a little bit of crispiness and some color and some char. Next up, I just have a basic mirepoix, more or less. I don't have celery, I do have peppers instead. So I got 1 part peppers, 1 part carrots, 2 parts onion. And next up, I have a little bit of shio koji that I made from home. It's my coffee shio koji. So really any shio koji you have on hand, this is just going to up the game and make it have a little bit more umami. I also mixed in black vinegar to the shio koji. So for the shio koji, I have a 1/2 cup and about 1/4 cup of black vinegar mixed in. Hopefully that's going to bring a pop of flavor. Next up, I have a bundle or a handful of green scallion leaves and also ginger leaves. Might add you some of these things I'm picking out for this stock are from the farmer's market and just leftover things I have in the fridge. So really the main takeaway from this recipe that I want you to know is smoking some tempeh and using that tempeh as a base to make a flavorful stock that you can transform into a broth later. So next up, we just have a head of garlic cut in half, 3 bay leaves, 2 black cardamoms, and a pinch of star anise. And that's going to add the spice component to this stock. And mushroom powder. So I'm going to do 2 tablespoons of mushroom powder as well. And about 2 tablespoons of salt. And my water volume right now is about 8 quarts of water. So I'm just going to add these things in. The idea is I'm undersalting this. The shio koji is going to add a little bit of salt and the pinch of salt that I have here. But the hope is that it's going to create a base flavor with some umami, some char from the tempeh, a little spice from the peppers, and some aromatic flavors from the black cardamom, and also the star anise. That hopefully it gives you a baseline flavor that you then can transform into a specific profile that you need. And again, really any vegetable ingredients can work with this. Any combination that you're familiar with, but the tempeh itself is going to add more nutrients to the water, to the broth, and it's going to add really nice flavor. So the tempeh I used for this one was split pea, and really in my pantry or in my fridge I always have cut up ends and extra pieces that I end up using that excess and that waste to become my tempeh stock. So it's a great way to use over sour tempeh or things that are just being left in the freezer that you end up not using. So it's a great space saver and also just energy efficient for any home tempeh maker enthusiast. This is a great recipe to get through all that tempeh that's being cluttered in your freezer. So I got all the ingredients in the pot. From here now we're just going to bring it up to a rolling simmer, and usually I let it go for about 5 minutes, cover it with a lid, turn off the heat, and in about an hour or so the vegetable matter and everything will be softened enough that all the goodness will be leached out into that water and everything that we want from the tempeh and the vegetables and the aromatic herbs. So really from there we would just strain the stock like any typical stock, and this becomes my base flavoring for a lot of dishes. Tend to cook my grains in this. Polenta we did last night for dinner. A couple other good additions is using pickling brines of sorts, hot pepper vinegar. Also you can roast koji itself and roast like barley koji for instance and get a real umami pop. Really you can take tempeh stock anywhere you want it. I really like the burnt flavors of the tempeh, but you can also use just plain tempeh and you don't have to smoke it and go through that trouble. Easier method as well, you can use stovetop on a cast iron and just sear it into some oil or on the broiler until it gets some color and do it that way. But all in all, my takeaway for this recipe is that you can use tempeh to make a rich, flavorful stock that you can further transform your food. And with the help of koji and the shio koji, it really gives an umami balance that I think you can make some wonderful vegan dishes with. So thanks.